A woman with no reputation is better than a woman with a good reputation. These were the words my beautiful Egyptian mother sat me down, looked me in the eyes, and made sure I heard carefully at the age of 12. She spoke these words with a sadness, but a definitiveness in her voice. A woman with no reputation is better than a woman with a good reputation. It took me a while at the age of 12 to understand what Mum was saying. Mum was trying to teach me that a woman is more socially acceptable when she remains invisible than when she draws attention to herself, even if for good reason. And I saw this lesson played out in real life. When Mum dedicated her life to raising us and managing the house and keeping the family together, those contributions often seemed invisible and made her invisible to everyone but her children. She quietly worked away, managing the house and all of our lives, from long before we woke up till long after we all went to bed. And then my father left Egypt to pursue a PhD in the US. And on top of everything my mother was already carrying, she also became the primary and sole financial provider for our family. She raised us and earned the money necessary to keep a roof over our heads. In many ways, she carried the family so my father could pursue his dream. And I remember as a little girl thinking, surely now Mom's going to be valued. But instead, I watched Dad punish her and resent her. Not because she failed, but because she succeeded. As a little girl, I was watching something I couldn't yet put into words. I saw Mom stuck in a box of little value, and if she stepped out, it wasn't any better. Watching this as a little girl, my heart ached for my mother, and it shaped my beliefs more than I realized. Like many young girls, I grew up asking the wrong question. I was asking, what do women or I need to do to finally be seen as valuable? And the answer my young brain came up with was, live in a westernized country where women are celebrated like men, not punished for earning and achieving. And so it became one of my dreams as a young girl to live in a westernized country. At the age of 19, when I found myself engaged to be married to someone I didn't want to marry, someone who had already dislocated my shoulder, I couldn't see a future ahead of me that felt safe or that felt like mine. But I did see my mother's future ahead of me, a future of being expected to forfeit any personal dreams or aspirations, to have children, raise them, and carry so much for everyone, with none of it recognized or appreciated. And so I ran. I ran from Egypt, I ran from my family, the culture, and the engagement. My family chased me through Cairo airport. They took my suitcase off me, but they couldn't stop me. I boarded a flight at age 19 with very little money, a shot nervous system, and absolutely no idea what was next. But I did have one thing, a burning desire to experience the sort of recognition I never saw my mother receive as a woman. And when I arrived here, I thought I'd found the answer. I thought I had arrived in a country where women were truly seen as equal. After all, women here could dress how they want. They could lead organizations. They could choose if they marry and have kids or not. And I remember thinking, this is freedom. This is equality. And if I just achieve enough, I too will prove that I'm valuable, feel valuable. And so I did what many ambitious women do. I threw myself into achievements. I lost 49 kilos, became Australia's national champion bikini model with my 6-month-old son in my arms. I built a successful business, bought property as a single mom, and from the outside, it looked like success. In many ways, it was success. But something very unexpected happened. The more boxes I ticked, the more exhausted and unhappy I became. Every achievement gave me a temporary sense of relief, short-lived recognition. But the finish line to worthiness just kept moving further and further away. because achievement can prove competence, but achievement can never prove your worth. See, I had left one culture where I felt I wasn't allowed as a woman to prove my worth. And I came to another culture that gave me full permission to prove as much as I want my worth. But the underlying issue still remained. I still believed that my worth in society needed to be earned, chased, and proven in measurable ways. Because whether in Egypt or Australia, the things easiest for society to value were often the things easiest to measure. We can measure income. We can measure profits. We can measure promotions and bonuses. But how do you measure the mother who stays up all night to emotionally regulate her child? How do you value the woman that spends years of her life caring for her aging parents or aging in-laws in the final years of their life? How do you value the wife that stands beside and supports her husband through the most difficult season of his life? See, the work of creating life that builds societies, the work of nurturing life and caring for the young and elderly is difficult to measure. And over time, I realized something. Many women, myself included, had quietly absorbed and accepted the belief that our immeasurable contributions would never be enough. That respect, significance, and value needed to be earned in measurable ways. See, the message here wasn't stay home. The message here was do it all. Have the children, manage the house, and build the career. Do it all. And while that may sound like freedom, for many of us it became another way of striving to prove our worth. Looking back now, I don't think my mother wanted an applause for earning money when needed. I think my mother longed to be valued long before she earned $1. Long before she needed to financially support our family. Long before she proved that she could succeed in ways society found easy to measure. And perhaps that's what we've misunderstood. Perhaps the women that came before us weren't fighting for sameness. Maybe they were fighting to be seen as equally valuable, as equal contributors in shaping our society. Because equal value never required identical contribution. There is power and purpose in our differences. The heart and the lungs are not both valuable because they do the same thing. They are both valuable because they are essential. And the same is true of us. This isn't about pushing women back into traditionally female roles. This is about recognizing that your worth was never something that you had to chase or earn. It was always something that just needed to be recognized, and recognized by you first. So before I leave you, I'd like to ask you a question. What are you currently basing your sense of worth on? Your income? Your achievements? Your ability to hold everything together? And if all of that disappeared tomorrow, would you still see that you have value? So perhaps what we've been fighting for isn't the freedom to prove more. Perhaps it's the freedom to stop proving, to stop chasing, to breathe and recognize what was always there. Because your worth was never something that needed to be earned. It was always there, waiting to be recognized.